Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Unleashed Alchemy, where on this channel we talk about you embracing spirituality as the backbone of everything that you do so that you can live a soul-fulfilled life and function at optimal level with confidence in your spiritual gifts, all right, without permission and without fear, right? So here we are with another spiritually spicy episode. So this is what we're going to talk about. If you recall, I did a video, probably maybe 3 videos back now, about spiritual insanity and what that can look like for a lot of people. And I want to take this video and expand on that just a little bit, okay? Because I see that it is a topic that does not get talked about enough. And I almost feel like it's a topic that kind of gets sprinkled in here and there. And I don't know if it's because people don't want to talk about it, or it's not something that they're interested in, whatever the case. But I just want to expand on that video a little bit more. So welcome. If you are new here, since you're going to be here watching, you may as well hit that subscribe button and the like button, okay? Also, I've noticed that those of you that come to watch, you have been sharing my videos. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for doing that. So let's get into this today. Spiritual insanity and how that relates to self-realization, expression, and balance. All right. So we're going to break this down. Now, as I told you earlier, if you recall the spiritual insanity video that I did, that involves, it's a fine line. Okay. So spiritual insanity involves having too much information on spirituality. There is such a thing. All right. Having all of that information without asking yourself, do I need this information? Why do I feel like I need it? Why do I have it? Okay. Also, another part of spiritual insanity, it can look like being obsessive. Obsessive about what? So I see a lot of talks about, the afterlife, what happens when we die, people obsessing about that and constantly delving into that. There's nothing wrong with delving into that if that is what you are being called and pulled towards, but in a way that is, okay, I'm being called to this information. I'm being called to do more research on this. How can I apply that to the now? Okay. How can I apply that to my life so that I can live in the most optimal way? Right. Also, obsessing about a previous life. Okay. If you find yourself obsessing about either one of those things, you have to ask, okay, is there something about my current life? Is there something about my current external situation that I don't like? Am I obsessing about the afterlife or a previous life? Am I obsessing about all this information because I don't like what's in front of me right now? Here's just a side note. Sometimes I feel with a lot of these companies or groups of people or person that want to explore space so bad, or they have this idea where they want to live up in the galaxies on one of the planets and leave Earth. Well, my question has always been, why do you want to leave Earth so bad? Is it because you don't like what's happening in your life, or perhaps you have caused some trouble, so now you're trying to get away from the shit that you caused? Side note. Okay, let me come back to what this video is about. All right, and then we have obsessing about what's out there, which is why I brought out that side note. Obsessing about what's out there. It takes your focus off of here, off of what is inside of you. So those are just 3 examples that I just mentioned. And if you notice, all 3 of those examples have a level of escapism attached to them. All of them, not in addition to escapism, all 3 of those examples of what spiritual insanity can look like, it is taking you outside of yourself. It's taking you away from yourself, further and further and further away. So the focus is no longer on you. Your focus is on something or some people out there. That is the same thing that religion does. Religion, I don't care what religion it is. Religion takes people outside of themselves, away from themselves, and it gets them to focus on something or someone or some group or some people that is out there. So now, with those 3 examples, and also with religion, the focus is no longer on you. The focus is no longer on what is encoded in your DNA. The focus is no longer on the magic that is imprinted in your DNA. The focus is no longer on those aspects of you that were meant to be used for your optimal soul-fulfilled life. All right, so let's bring this to a conversation about balance and harmony. So, when we have spirituality as the backbone of what we do, it inspires harmony and balance because it invokes integration, which involves self-realizations. You can't have any self-realizations if you're constantly looking outside of yourself, if you're not integrating the information that you have. So I'm going to repeat that. Spirituality as a backbone inspires harmony because it invokes integration, which involves self-realization, which can lead us to observing aspects about ourselves that either we have frowned upon ourselves or other people have frowned upon. Now, I talk about this, or I will be talking about this in a complimentary 2-day workshop that I will be doing on May 8th, which is a Wednesday, May 8th at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then the second half of that will be May 15th, which is also a Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. In that workshop, it is about reclaiming and unleashing your rebel soul so that you can live a soul-fulfilled life. We're going to be talking about looking at all the aspects of you, embracing all of them, not just pieces, but bringing you back into balance so that you can begin to infuse wisdom and love into every single aspect, including the aspects that you have frowned upon or that other people have looked down on or told you that an aspect was unacceptable. In that workshop, we're also getting into aspects that come from your lineage as well. So if you would like to be a part of that complimentary workshop, all right, please sign up. To register, I will leave the registration link in the description box of this video. Okay, so let's get back to it. Now, part of spiritual insanity, I probably could have put this at the first part of the video, but part of spiritual insanity is you attempting to use spirituality to rid yourself of or to run from yourself to escape, again, those aspects of yourself that you frown upon, or attempting to use a spell to run from yourself. Now, here's the thing. Even if you did do a spell, you can spell all day, light candles, stock up on candles. If you did that, that spell is only going to, we'll say it like this, present conditions that will inspire you to face yourself. Okay, so go ahead. Light that candle to rid yourself of that aspect that you've been trying to ignore. Now, here is where the balance comes in. Now, free will will play a factor. You can continue on with your escapism. You can continue to obsess about what's out there. You can continue to obsess about your past life, afterlife. You can continue to obsess about getting more information. But what you're doing is you're avoiding you. And you have to understand, we have to understand that to avoid ourselves is to avoid our true sovereign expression. I'm going to say that again. To avoid you is to avoid your true sovereign expression. So, going back to balance, here's where balance comes in. So you go within. How does going within produce balance? When you go within, you're accessing the code. We have codes in our DNA. What is our DNA coded with? Magic, power, passions, desires, our soul desires, our callings, our purposes, all the aspects of us, all of them. So, rather than you escaping to another spiritual book or another spiritual video because you don't want to face that sensual part of you, or because you don't want to face the part of you that has a temper that's very quick-tempered, rather than escaping that, you surrender to your spiritual odyssey fully. When you do that, you start to look at those aspects. And I just named out two, for examples. I use being sensual, especially if you come from religion. Being sensual, oh gosh, that's automatically evil because it's automatically attached to sex. And sex was viewed as an evil thing. But yet we saw what was happening in the church. But yet it's sex that brings a soul into the world. And sensuality is beyond sex. And this is just a side note here. Sensuality is being able to feel in your body, to feel pleasure in your life, to enjoy your life. That's what being sensual is. It is all encompassing, okay? I just want to throw that out there. So, when you surrender to your spiritual odyssey, you'll look at every single aspect of you through the lens of Source, through the lens of Goddess, through the lens of God, through the lens of infinite intelligence, through the lens of infinite love, through the lens of higher consciousness. All of those phrases, they mean the same. It is an energy of love. It is an energy of being sovereign. It is an energy of divinity. When you view those aspects through that lens, So, for example, I'm going to use one of the examples that I just brought up. Being quick-tempered, having a temper. When you view that aspect of you through the lens of source, not only do you not react in it, because we all know that having that aspect, it can bring destruction because you're reacting. But when you are viewing it through the lens of source, you can stop and say, okay, wait, I have this energy. I notice this energy about me that is full of fire and force. Well, now you can use a part of that energy. You can infuse it with love, not hate it, not push it away, but you can infuse it with love and with wisdom and say, okay, I can use that fire energy to speak my sovereign life into existence. When I speak, I can speak with confidence because I know who I am as a cosmic being. I know who I am as an extension of Creator. I know who I am as a goddess, as a god. Are ye not gods? And then even before that, your higher mind will show you that aspect, the source of that aspect. So sometimes, and this doesn't matter, but I'm just going to throw this out there anyway. Sometimes aspects that we have, it's DNA coded. And sometimes aspects develop from experiences in our lives, traumatic or otherwise. So let me go back to the example that I used at the top of this video. Spiritual insanity involves escapism. So if you are attempting to escape a circumstance that is facing you because you're viewing yourself, all aspects of you through the eyes, through the lens of source, you now realize that you carry all the power to call in your life, to speak, to use that fire energy from that temper that you have, to use that fire energy to call in your life on earth as it is in heaven. Now, I'm not talking about the heaven that's out there somewhere. I am talking about allowing your higher mind, higher consciousness, Christ consciousness to download the visions to you, not you trying to think and conjure up something. So, balance brings about sovereign expression, incorporating divinity and harmony. So, to bring all those aspects into divine harmony, into divine integration, that is what brings about your sovereign expression. So you never have to be afraid of that bad temper causing you an issue in your life. Because why? Because you know yourself. You have observed it. It is there. You don't hate it. You don't try to pretend like it's not there. You know the source. You know where it came from. Okay, it's there. You have appreciated that reflection of you. So, I want you to ask yourself this question. If you've never done this exercise, I want you to ask yourself. I want you to look in the mirror. And I want you to say out loud, what do I see? You may want to either have something that you can record, whatever comes up, or have something that you can write, a journal, where you can write this stuff down. What do I see? Then ask, how do I feel about what I see? If you have never done that, if you have never done this exercise, let me tell you, and please gift yourself the time to be still and allow for the answers to come through, because you're going to get answers. Don't run from the answers. Let them come up. Don't try and make the answers make sense. Don't try, put your ego to the side, put your logical mind to the side, and just let whatever comes up, comes up. So I'm going to repeat the questions. Do this exercise, look in the mirror. What do I see? How do I feel about what I see? All right. So that is it for today's episode. Don't forget to be a part of the 2-day complimentary workshop where we talk about reclaiming and unleashing your rebel soul so that you can live a sovereign, soul-fulfilled life. Register for the 2-day event. It is May 8th, 7 p.m. and then May 15th for the second part, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern. To register, the link will be in the description box of this video. All right. So until next time, cheers.